But it is remarkable, and I think we all need to realize what we're watching is truly maybe once in a lifetime for all of us. It certainly hasn't happened to date until now. And to really appreciate it, enjoy it while it's happening, this is an elite pitching staff, even if they hadn't gone on this type of run, and they will continue to be great whenever this current stretch is over with. But what they're doing right now is truly exceptional and something that the game has really kind of rarely seen in its history.
Do you have a favorite in there, a favorite performance, a favorite moment, a favorite inning, or anything like that just really jumped out to you from these last 18 games?
Absolutely. I thought George Kirby's first inning in his most recent start against Arizona was the single most dominant inning by a Mariners pitcher this year. When you can rear back and throw gas right over the plate and have not the bottom of the order, the top of the order, not be able to catch up to it and just throw heater after heater after heater. And it wasn't like the Kirby version where we see him dot the edges and guys take pitches they hope might be called a ball just a touch off the plate. He was right over the dish. Nearly center cut with the best fastball we've seen from him this year. And the numbers bore it out, right? He ended up striking out a career high 12. He had more swing and miss on his four-seam fastball that day than any pitcher in baseball has on that pitch year to date. It was electric, and it just kind of goes to show you, even from a pitching standpoint, it does take a little bit of time. We hadn't seen that type of giddy-up on his fastball at that point until that start, and guys are now getting through the rotation 4 or 5 times and starting to loosen up a little bit more, even though the weather isn't always great. And that, to me, was the single most dominant inning by a Mariner starter this year.
Aaron, what are some of the things your broadcast peers say when they come into town, come into a series? I'm just kind of curious, either play-by-play or the color guys that you guys bump into and the food line and around the batting cages. What do they have to say about this staff?
I was talking last night with C.J. Nikowski, who is the analyst on TV for the Braves. He had been the analyst with the Rangers for some time before that, so he's very familiar with watching the Mariners in this recent run of pitching over the last few years. And CJ is a former big league pitcher, was a former first-round draft pick, had a nice career in the big leagues. And I asked him, what comes to mind when you think about Mariners pitching in this recent years of whatever it might be, 3-year stretch run? And he said, well, the most obvious thing is just their ability to throw strikes, which seems like this very obvious thing, right? I think the casual fan, if you're talking about a major league pitcher, a big league pitcher, well, of course they can throw strikes. That's the name of the game. But as he put it, that was a challenge for him in his career. And it sounds simple, and it's much harder in actuality. And the way that the Mariners weaponize their pitchers with confidence to say, just throw it over the plate, let it move, and know that the odds are in your favor. And the Mariners' abilities, whether you're talking about a starting pitcher or a reliever, to get ahead has been pretty amazing this year. And that's coming from an organization where we've seen kind of historic success in that department in recent years. The Mariners pride themselves on the 0-0 pitch, so the first pitch of an at-bat, and the 1-1. When you win the 0-0 and you win the 1-1, things shift in your favor dramatically, and that's what we've seen this year.
It's interesting, the question you focused on with the Kirby answer, which I would completely agree with. You could probably do that for each of the pitchers and try to come up with a moment. And the one that has stuck out to me, and maybe it's even two, were the last 2 times out, Luis Castillo, after, I think the first time it was 5, this time it was 6, do you want to use him for one more? He's up in and around 90 pitches. Do you want to give him another inning? Both times Scott did, and both times he was so economical with that final inning to just be like, yeah, I'm going to make it through another inning. That's just what I do. It strikes me that is a whole nother gear that comes with age and experience for some of these pitchers.
Yeah, it is. You bring that up, and last night, Gary and I, when we went to break after the bottom of the 6th, and Scott had Stanek and he had Spire warming up. So he's got his leverage arms rolling and ready to go if need be, and here comes Castillo trotting back out there. And I'm looking up his season high, which was in the neighborhood of 104 pitches, and I think he was right around 90 at that point. And you're thinking, okay, he could have a 3-batter, 10-pitch inning, get to call it 100 pitches, and hang zeros over 7. And that's exactly what he did. And I do think there's some intangible that you can't measure to a guy who's been around, who has the hardware, like Castillo, and has the supreme confidence that they just smell the finish line. And to me, I always kind of acknowledge that when I see guys, when you know it's their last couple of batters, maybe even their last batter, when you see their velo spike at the very end, maybe they've been sitting 95 for the last few innings, then all of a sudden you see a 96 or a 97 pop. It's like they know that they're right there. They're going to empty the tank with everything they have, and we saw it from Castillo again last night. The ability to finish is one of those probably numerous qualities that defines an ace, and Castillo certainly has that.